Hey guys, I'm making this video to go over APA citations. So what I'm going to do is just go to open up the APA citations handout. It's in the extra handouts folder. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few of these things and then show you some examples. So this is the basic format for in-text citations. It's author, year, page number. So out from this, I'm just going to show you what that would look like. So that's what it would look like. You use commas between each of the things, and then you also use a space, and you always put a P period before the actual page number. Only include last names. APA does not use first or middle names ever. The only time they use first and middle initials is in the reference page, not in in-text citations or in signal phrases. So that's what a citation should look like. Just something to note, I would like for you to include page numbers if you have them for either a paraphrase or direct quote citation, but just note that APA doesn't require page numbers for paraphrases, but they do encourage them, so that's just something to keep in mind. Moving on to authors in a sentence. So that's in-text citations. This is when you're actually mentioning the author's name in a sentence. You always have to include the year in parentheses directly after the author's name. Also notice that APA uses past tense verbs when referencing sources. MLA uses present tense, so this would be describes for MLA, but it's described for APA. So you have the author's name here and then the year here, and so all you have left to do for the in-text citation after the source information, whether this is a direct quote or a paraphrase, is include the page number in parentheses. Keep in mind, and I've mentioned this before, you've watched the citation placement video, hopefully, that signal phrases only cite the sentence that they are within. So let's say that this was a paraphrase and we did not have word for word, and we had two sentences of paraphrase. So never do this, but I'm going to delete these quotation marks just for the purposes of this video. And then add another sentence of the paraphrase. This citation is only citing up to here, up to firewood, and so here we don't know what source this is coming from, and so we would need to add to that citation and put the page 18 there. Okay. All right. Additional things, if you're actually stating the authors in a sentence, you use the word and between them. That's different than in your citations where you will use an ampersand, which is the and sign. This tells you what to do if you have multiple authors. Anytime you have 1 to 2 authors, you always say all of them, either 1 or 2, every single time. But if you have 3 to 5 authors, then you say all of them the first time, and then every time after that you use et al. So for example, the first time you say their names, do it like this, and every time afterwards, do it like this. That's true within in-text citations as well, whether they appear in an in-text citation first or they appear in a sentence first, just whichever one is first is which one should include all 3 to 5 authors. And then if you have 6 or more authors, so any more than 5, you never list them all. It's always just et al. Okay. Moving on, this is all of that information, but in in-text citations instead of actually within your sentence. And then this is the basic format for the references page. This is what your references will look like. Right here I have a scholarly journal article cited, but if you are citing something different, then make sure you're looking in the little seagull and following the format for that. Okay, so notice that we use the author's last name, and then, sorry, I should have a space. And then we have the first initial, middle initial, period, comma, and Shopka J, which is last name, comma, first initial. We don't have a middle initial for this one, so we don't include it. Next, we have the year in parentheses, but we would actually include whatever information about the date we have here. So if we had the month and the day as well, we would do a comma, January, do not abbreviate the month, 3rd, so 3. Within your in-text citations, though, you only include the year. This is the only place you would include the full date. Notice also that this uses sentence case. So you would capitalize the title of the article just like you would capitalize a regular sentence. So the P is capitalized on playing because it's the first word. The M on mother is capitalized because it follows a colon. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see that. And then the rest of it is not capitalized. However, if we had like a proper noun in here, like a country or something like that, then we would capitalize that word, the first letter in that word. Next, we have the name of the container, and in this case, it's a journal. And we have to italicize that as well as put it in title case, which means that the first letter of every important word is capitalized. This is the volume number here. Notice it's not indicated labeled at all that it's the volume number, but it is italicized with the journal name. Then we have the issue number in parentheses, and then we have the page range. Okay, and then notice here, include the DOI number if it's available. You'll actually put DOI lowercase colon and copy and paste the DOI number. If that's not available, you can do the DOI URL if that's available. And then if neither of those is available, you'll actually type in the words retrieved from and then copy and paste the URL. Okay, let me see if I'm missing saying anything here. Okay, well, first of all, I would like to say that if you use the Cite button, let me just go ahead and find a source for you guys to show you what I mean by that. So what you can do is press this Cite button here. This is different, like if you're using Gale, then there's a different, it's still there. You have a Cite button on anything. So feel free to use this, but just keep in mind that there are always errors, okay? It looks like this one's really close, but actually there are mistakes. So I'm going to copy this and show you how to fix it really quick. Okay, so first of all, we need to change it to 12 point Times New Roman, put a hanging indent on there, obviously. But this is in all caps. We don't want that to happen. No one's name is ever in all caps. These are entirely computer generated. So someone typed in the name in all caps here, but it's not correct. What we want to do to make sure everything's correct, this is computer generated as well. Sometimes you'll get the full text PDF here, but a lot of times it'll just be, you'll only have available the full text HTML, which is this. If you can get the PDF, make sure you're always downloading it. I did that over here. So you can see how it was originally published in the original journal, okay? So they put the name in all caps here. That's why it appears in all caps in the citation, but that's just because of consistency and formatting among this journal, different articles in this journal. So we don't want that in all caps. So we're changing that. Oh, I forgot how to spell it. I think that was right. Okay, there's only one author, so that's right. 2015. Let's make sure that there are no other information for the date. Doesn't look like it, so 2015 is correct. Okay, and so that is in the correct sentence case. I don't know why this is here, so we're deleting that. And then we have the journal name in italics, the volume number, the issue number, and the full page range. And here we actually don't need that because this is the DOI URL, which I will show you up here. Oops. So if we have that, we do not need DOI, only if we don't have the DOI URL. Okay. All right. So that's how you should be doing yours and making sure you can cite them, copy and paste it, but make sure you change what you need to change. Another common error that this citation generator that our library does is you'll often see the pages like this. And that's why it's so important to download the PDF. We don't want that. We want the full range, okay? So see 407 here, and then we would scroll down to find the last page, which is 419. Okay. Another common error is they do all caps for the title sometimes. Just don't always trust anything. If you can download the PDF, then cite directly from that PDF because that's the most correct information. Everything else available is totally computer generated. To find the DOI number, first of all, it's right there. So that actually is incorrect too because this trumps what they have. So this should actually say and then that should be lowercase. And that should be deleted. So that's what should actually be there. Make sure, again, fix the formatting. So those are the errors that often happen. Another place to find the DOI number, if it's not there, is this Abstract and Details tab. You can scroll down to DOI. That's where they got that. I see that now. But remember that this DOI trumps this DOI, and both of those trump the URL. Okay. All right. Moving on in this handout, just more information about what to do with multiple authors for the references page. Notice that if we're listing multiple authors here, like 3 to 5 here, we only use this ampersand before the last one, just like a normal list, okay? Here is what you should do if you do not have an author. So what this has done is it's just left the author off, and then it's taken this, which was on the other side here, and moved it over. Okay, so we don't want a citation to begin with a parentheses, and that's the reason it happens like that. Obviously, this citation would keep going, but just for the purposes of looking at what you would do if there's no author, that's what we're doing. So this is the title of the article, publication date, and then the container name. Never include credentials in your citation. A lot of times this might generate to MD as well. Those are not initials, that's credentials. Don't include those in your citation, okay? Okay, so let's actually look at an example paper. Okay, so I wanted to just show you a few things here. Okay, here's an example of a paraphrase. So this student is paraphrasing the credentials of this author. I just put this into white font. So let me show you what it would actually look like. And so they had a third source for theirs because they wanted to cite the credentials of the author. Notice that this is a title of an article. But when we put the title of the article into the actual body of our paper, whether that's in text or in text citation or actually in your sentence, we change it to title case and put quotation marks around it. The original citation on the reference page doesn't put quotation marks around it and uses sentence case instead. Okay, so that's what that citation would look like. This source doesn't have any page numbers, so those are just left off of the citation. Moving on, we have a quote here. Notice that we have the author's name and the year in the signal phrase that is still the same sentence as the quote, and so all we need at the end is the page number. Okay, moving on, similar, exact same thing for this. Author's name and year in the signal phrase, so all we need at the end is the page number. Please try to use a variety of in-text citations, like parenthetical, and signal phrase citations. Make sure you don't just stick to one or the other, okay? For example, this one does not include the author name or the year in the signal phrase, and so for this one, we need all of it. So this author is LeBoeuf et al. Because we have more than 5 authors. And we have everything correct here, okay? Here are the references. Notice that these are in alphabetical order. Well, they should be. They're not, but they should be. Okay. So these should be in alphabetical order. This should not be in quotation marks. And that is the correct capitalization there. This is a really simple citation because there's not a lot of information. The words retrieved from appear here because we just have the URL. And everything else here is correct too, except for that. If you don't have a date, then you do N period D period. And that's true for your in-text citation as well. So like that. One more thing, if you don't have page numbers, let's see, then, for example, this citation just wouldn't appear there, and then you would go within the quotation marks and put the period. So we have the citation in the signal phrase instead of the parenthetical citation. All right, guys, that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me.